Well, good morning. This is going to be the final video of 2014. Of course, I'm going to do one more tomorrow, which will be the last day, but that will be the video for January the 1st. I always put them up one day ahead of time, just like magazines and magazines especially publish like the January magazine in December. I mean, I used to do that when I had my magazine, Paradox, a purposely provocative publication which I published for 5 years, from 1996 till 2001. Anyway, the title of the video for today, the final video of 2014, is Positive Revolt of Corporate Slaves Against Extortion. Corporations provide the business model and institutional structure for slavery by extortion and threats. By definition, a corporation is a legal fiction. They are not real. Those who own and run corporations set them up, making themselves unaccountable for their actions. The mother of all corporations is the Vatican. That's where all the fraud originates institutionally. Well, Florida Power and Light has violated the contract I created with them. And I have a link to a Facebook note, which, as I'm sitting here and the time is coming, I'm realizing I probably should have put that on my website so that people have a website address, not just a Facebook address, but I'll do that later. In any case, it's my response to the threat to cut off power to my home. Extortion by FPL is the title of the note that I created in Facebook yesterday. It's time for me, and hopefully many others, to take on these corporate criminals as plaintiffs, not defendants. It's time to force these people to prove their claim of right that enslaves humanity and violates all reasonable notions of human rights and natural law. Who will stand with me in support? I've had conversations last Friday and again yesterday with people from the corporate office of FPL. I laid a foundation going back a couple of years, actually, to 2012, more than 2 years ago, letting them know that I did not approve of the smart meter based on research that I had done up to that time, and I still feel that way, and I don't care who argues with me about it. I don't think anyone should allow a smart meter in their home. If you understood the ramifications, you wouldn't. But be that as it may, I laid a foundation of non-consent for the smart meter, and then when they announced that they were going to charge a fee for keeping the non-smart meter, for keeping the regular meter that we've always had, and charge a fee for that, a monthly fee plus an initiation fee into the program, I protested and stopped the automatic payment of my power bill. My power bill, I've never been late with a power bill in my entire life. And for many years now, I have had my power bill come automatically out of my checking account. It was just automatically paid. You know, I didn't have to do anything. It was just all automatic. But when they started charging these extortion fees for keeping my non-standard meter, what they consider now a non-standard meter, I stopped the automatic payments and started paying them manually, deducting the amounts which rose to $198 as of earlier this month. And I got a notice last week that they were going to shut off my power if I didn't pay that $198. Well, I had created a contract with them, which basically laid out in simple words, in simple terms, this is a contract. I do not consent to your non-standard meter, and I do not consent to your extortion. If you cash this check, you are agreeing that I only am required to pay you for power provided to my home. And I will continue paying that, but I will not pay the rest. Well, they waited until this month, and that was, I think, I don't know, maybe May, possibly, this past May that this began. I'd have to go back and look at the records. I'm thinking it's May, but I could be wrong. Anyway, all of a sudden now they're going to shut off my power for not paying the extortion things. And I have a contract. I said, if you cash this check, and it's stated right on the check, and I have everything documented with certified mail that they've received it, with proof of delivery, with notary, everything notarized and properly documented, so that I have a open and shut case in common law with these people for violation of contract. Now they have defrauded me, and I can bring a $100,000 lawsuit or even more against them for the stress and everything that they have put me under. And I'd like to do this to a lot of other corporations as well, including banks, including government corporations. Okay? That's long range. Right now, I have been provided with an opportunity to be a plaintiff in a case that by law is not even a contest. I win. Period. They contracted with me. They broke the contract, and it specified that I have the right to come after them for damages. Specified that. Now, I have only once before done anything as a plaintiff, and that was in a federal court in Orlando, and basically they said it wasn't in their jurisdiction. It was a claim against banks and against the courts in Florida and Brevard County, against judges and attorneys, and they would not even hear the case. I ended up spending 150 or 100, I don't remember. There was a fee that had to be paid for filing it. There's a way that you can get around not paying that fee, but I paid the fee, and they basically sent letters back and forth for a while, and the judge admitted he was an actor. The federal judge, the federal magistrate. I mean, the whole thing is a fraud. I'm going in. I have filed additional papers with courts. They are established in the court records of who I am, and the amicus curiae and everything else that I have filed. I have those documented. I have other papers documented to prove my status as a non-corporate citizen, but as a private man, private individual. So I'm attempting to go in on the private side of the court. Now, here's what I would like. This is going to cost me some money, and I know that. And it's going to cost me a lot of time and effort, and I know that. And I don't want to hire an attorney. I would, however, like an attorney with guts, with courage, and with a little bit of integrity, who is willing to go in and stand with me as one of the insiders of their system, to support me, I don't need somebody to represent me. I can represent myself. I can present myself just fine. Thank you very much. I know the law. But it would be helpful if I had an attorney with courage to stand up to the system with me and let them know, as one of the people that are in there, preferably someone with some charisma, who could make the point very well known that what they are doing, now that means this person would have to stand up to their bar accreditation and everything else, and risk possibly even becoming disbarred. But I'm telling you folks, the corporate structure is a fraud. And all of our government agencies, including the courts, including the police departments, including the school boards, are corporate structures, which means they are privately owned for profit, even if they claim to be a non-profit not-for-profit organization. They are still running a corporation, and a corporation does not have accountability, or the owners and operators of corporations, the leaders of the corporations, do not take any responsibility or hold themselves accountable for anything. They are off the hook to commit whatever crimes they want, and folks, our corporations have been screwing us royally. Do you realize that? Now, look at I'm doing this with the power company, Florida Power and Light. Do you understand that over 100 years ago, Tesla gave us technology that would provide free energy, powering our cars, powering our homes, powering everything for nothing, for the cost of the equipment that allows us and enables us to pull the power out of the air? We live in a sea of energy. It is everywhere. It is not oil. It is not coal. It is not natural gas. None of those are required as fuel. None of them. The atmosphere, the earth itself is a battery. The atmosphere is charged. We live in an electrical universe. The matrix, if you will, and I'm not talking about now the geopolitical structure, but I'm talking about the physical structure, is an electromagnetic universe. It's an electromagnetic structure. That's the matrix. We live and move and have our being within that matrix. Power is free. Force is what corporations use. Force is unlawful by natural law, because what they are doing is they are forcing people into slavery. And they get away with it because we are ignorant. So we are voluntary slaves because we don't know any better. And we allow them, that we put our trust in, we allow them to abuse us. But they abuse us in such a way that they've made it so that it doesn't even seem like abuse. But when they tell you, for example, that you must pay this or we're going to give you consequences, that's extortion. That's extortion. They have not reached an agreement with you. They are forcing a contract on you, taking away your right to contract with an equal party. Because what they've done is they've made you a corporation. That's what your name in all capital letters is. So you become a legal fiction. Well, I'm not doing this as a legal fiction. I have taken ownership of my own name, and somebody wrote me, said, you can't own anything, Ron. That's where you're going to lose. No, we own our lives. We own our bodies. We own the things that we need to establish our lives, our homes, if we have an automobile, and our appliances and stuff. We own those things. Those are ours by right of usage. By right of usage. Ownership is necessary in a material world. To say that this is mine, not yours. It establishes safe boundaries. That's what ownership does. It's not a crime to own something, even though some of you ideologically think so. In any case, it's time for me and for others to go on the offensive and to make these people say, yes, you're a slave. Make the judge say that to you in a court of law. Make them admit their crime, because no one has the right to enslave anyone else. But that's exactly what corporations have been doing to us and getting away with it all of our lives. All of our lives. And the corporation, as I said, or the Vatican, as I said, is the mother of all corporations. It set up the law that makes us slaves. Maritime and admiralty law, Roman law, also known as, canon law, also known as. These are enslavement rules and regulations that are set up to deprive us of our rights, to disempower us. Yes, to enslave us. It's time that we stood up together and made a positive revolt. Some people look at revolting as being negative. No, when we do it not in defense, but as the plaintiff, I think that we have a lawful way of turning the tide. And maybe this is how we need to do it. Someone just brought a $1 trillion lawsuit against the media, the mainstream media, including several $billion for the New York Times and other things regarding the Sandy Hook incident, which no kids were killed. These are black ops. These are psychological operations, psyops, to get us to give up our guns because the government is afraid of people that are armed. And when we give up our guns, we lose. We lose to the government, because then the criminals are the only ones that have guns, instead of law-abiding citizens of what used to be a republic. Anyway, I'm taking charge and moving in a direction. I'd like to file papers. I'm not sure whether to do it in federal court or whether to do it in Florida courts. But I am filing some kind of action before the end of January. I'm asking for assistance in that, and you will know what kind of assistance you can provide. I would like, as I said, a high-powered attorney who is willing to stand against the system that they're part of with me, not to represent me. Again, I want to make that clear. I can speak for myself, and I have the right to speak for myself. But it wouldn't hurt to have someone in the system standing with me and showing support. Who is willing to do that? Who is willing to stand with me in other ways? And to stand with other people that might also be doing the same thing? Can we make this a class action lawsuit against FPL? That's something to be considered. I need advice. And I'm not going to accept everybody's advice, because some advice I think is bullshit. But in any case, I want to be open to listen to what people have to suggest and to offer. And I want to suggest to each of you that I trust that the new year that we're going into will be a whole lot better than the year that we've just come out of. But maybe this 2014 is a year that we start to turn the tide and start to take back our power from these corporate beasts, and stop the financial tyranny, and stop the human enslavement, and stop the human ignorance. We need to take back our power. Thank you for listening, and namaste.